This is Coffee Break with Jimmy. You know, with all the things that are going on, of course, we got the government shutdown going on right now, and of course, they haven't gotten the hostages yet out of Gaza Strip. Hamas hasn't laid down their weapons. A lot of things are happening, and Trump's he's on top of it, and things are going to happen like the Gaza Strip. Stuff is going to happen there. Trump's going to get the hostages back. I'm a firm believer in that, and I think they will lay down their arms. But what's going on? The government's shut down right now. I think they're going to have to. The Democrats are going to have to. Right now they're shutting it down because they want health care for illegal aliens. Now, number one, illegal aliens is just what it is. They're illegal. They're here illegally. A lot of them have been in trouble. Have got different things that they've done in other countries, and they came here to accept prosecution in other countries and our persecution. And so that's really what's the holdup, I believe. There are probably other things that are, but the Republicans are holding firm on this, and the Democrats, I don't think they know whether they're coming or going. But if you think about it, and you can go back as far back as you want, I heard this the other day, all the way back to say FDR, okay, after the crash, the stock market crash back in the 20s, and when everything went crazy. Then Franklin Delano Roosevelt, he got elected 4 times. Of course, he was our president during World War II, and he was everybody's hero back in those days. It seemed like everyone. I wasn't alive at that time, but it seems like when you seen pictures of that time, of that era, they always had a picture of Franklin D. Roosevelt, FDR, had a picture of him on their wall. And so they were Democrats through and through. There were more Democrats than anything. But the one thing, and it's gone on, say, from then till now, and you've had a few Republican presidents, and they're sporadic here. The Republicans have taken charge here and there, and it seemed like whenever they did, things got better. Well, like when Reagan was president, things got better. When Reagan was president, Reagan and George H.W. Bush. Now, George H.W. Bush, we voted for him. My wife and I, we voted for him the first time. The second time when he ran, we voted for Ross Perot. Largely in part because he said, read my lips, no new taxes, okay? Then he went down the road. Then Ross Perot ran, and I think Ross Perot probably gave the presidency to Clinton. And I didn't really view Clinton as a bad choice for president at the time. I thought he was pretty good. He had some good ideas. But back then, you have to understand, I was an independent. My wife was, I don't know, I think she was probably a Republican anyway, but I was an independent. But I always voted Republican, it seemed like. But you talk about from FDR until now, the Democratic Party has been pretty much in charge for most of the time. Most of my life, the Democratic Party has been in charge. I remember when I was a kid, and I was talking, of course, John F. Kennedy was assassinated on my 3rd birthday. My parents were big John F. Kennedy supporters of President John F. Kennedy. And when he was assassinated, everybody cried, everybody was upset. Then Lyndon B. Johnson became president, and not long after that, of course, Nixon became president. And they say actually Nixon was, they did a lot of bad things in Nixon, when actually he was a pretty good president. But he just, they got stuck with that Watergate thing, and so everybody can remember that. But my mom told me one time that, because I asked her, what was the difference between a Republican and a Democrat? Because I didn't know what I was. I know my family was Democrat. But she goes, well, the Democrats are for the poor and the needy, and the Republicans are for the rich. And I said, wow, so the Republicans just go for the rich people. They don't go for the poor. They don't help out the poor and needy. And we're more along the poor side, okay? So you had to kind of connect to the Democrats. But it just seemed like and I wasn't political back then. I was just a kid. I didn't know much. But it just seemed like what the Democrats did wasn't really, it just seemed like they just didn't do things right. But when you found out later on, especially now, I know now, back then, and it still was today, the Democrats are actually, they're the elites. And they need the poor and the needy to vote them in office, okay? Because that's their cash cow. I mean, they'll it cost them $1 million to run for office, and they're going to get elected to an office and make $100,000. That doesn't make any sense. But after about 4 years or 8 years in office, they become millionaires, okay? And this is their cash cow. And that's how politics has always kind of worked. And it goes both ways. It goes on the Republican side also, but not as much as the Democrat side. So when you talk about back from Franklin D. all the way till now, it's kind of taken a turn because of Trump. Because of Trump's first tour as the president, I mean, he did some good things. He made some good things that happened. And the whole time, the Democrats were on his back, trying to get him impeached, trying to get him out. They were doing everything to get him out of office. Because Trump was, I mean, I can remember watching him on different programs, and he was saying, oh, we're getting ripped off. We're getting ripped off by other countries. We're getting ripped off by our own country. And things would be different, and if we could do things different. And I remember Oprah Winfrey, well, would you run for president? And Donald Trump said, well, if I ran, I would win. But at that time, everybody kind of thought he was a Democrat anyway, right? So everybody loved Donald Trump. And then when he decided to run, he ran as a Republican. And then he got there, the knives came out, okay? Everybody wanted him. Everybody wanted him because you know what? He knew we were getting ripped off. He knew we were getting ripped off by both parties and by our country, other countries around the world, and he started bringing it together. You saw that happening, okay? And then all of a sudden we got COVID. COVID came in and, kind of destroyed his presidency at that time because, well, now they got Biden in there. Biden stood in the basement and he really didn't run. And then, of course, harvesting the ballots and everything. And I still, I'm a numbers kind of guy. And when Trump got over 74 million votes and Biden got 81 million, or something of that effect, how did he get so many votes when there wasn't that many people voting? Because, I mean, Trump won against Hillary Clinton. I think he had 64 million and Hillary has 65 or 66, but he won all the states that he needed to win. He won the Electoral College. But how did it jump up in just 4 years' time? It jumped up, 15, 20 million people just like that. And so that numbers that never did jive. But they gave Biden the presidency. And when Trump actually, I believe he won it. But now this presidency, already he's done so much more in less than a year's time. And it just goes to show you that what a lot of people have said, I can remember it being said when I was younger, in my 20s. We need a businessman to run this country. We need a businessman to run, because everything was done political. No matter what side you were on, forget about Republican, Democrat, no matter what side you were on, everything was political. And political meant, to me, there's a lot of donors out there, big, wealthy donors that wanted people in office, whether than the Democrat side or the Republican side. They wanted people in office, and they're willing to pay to get those people in office because that's where they're making their money. This was their cash cow, all the wealthy people. And that was majority Democrat. And it goes against what my mother used to tell me, that the Democrats are for the poor and the needy and the Republicans for the rich. It couldn't have been more false when my mom said that to me. Her understanding, that's the way it was, but that couldn't have been more untrue, really. And now today we got a president that is wealthy, doesn't need anybody else's money, and he's going to speak the truth. He's going to tell you like it is. And that's what he's done from day one. Now, what's happening right now in the shutdown, I think the Republicans should hold firm. There's going to be some people are going to be laid off because of this. But we have to have our military needs to be paid. I know, the Trump administration is going to do whatever they can to get the military paid, and the people, the essential workers around that need to get paid by the government, even though it's shut down. I don't think it's going to be shut down that much longer, but that's the thing, right? And usually when one party or the other, when they don't agree with the other one, well, they're going to if they've got a way to shut it down because they need so many votes, they'll shut it down just to make a point. And all that does is cost us more money and more money and more money, and puts us further and further in the hole. So I think the shutdown's going to end. It's going to come to an end here, probably by the end of this week. But you think about it though, the Democrat Party has been in power, pretty much in power since FDR. And if you go back in like the state of California, we had some Republican governors, a few of them that worked out. But even Ronald Reagan, when he was the governor of the state of California, I think he was a Democrat at the time, and he switched parties. I think. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure he was. But California has just been in the tank ever since it's just been Democratic. And I was told the other day, I don't know how true this is, but they say they actually have more Republicans in the state of California than they do Democrats. That remains to be seen. But if that in fact is a fact, then the Republicans, you need to get out in California here and you need to vote, because we need to turn this state around. This state has got everything. It has everything that any other state has, and that's why we have the fifth or sixth largest economy in the world, because we have everything here in the state of California. It's just mismanaged, and it's mismanaged by the Democrats. So we got to switch that around here in the state of California. But think about that. That gives you something to think about, And then I did a podcast here the other day, and this kind of has a little bit of something to do with that. But in 1948, they had the Smith-Mundt Act. It actually gave you the right to lie and to spread propaganda around the world, coming from us. But it wasn't supposed to be. We weren't supposed to be propagandized, if you will, here in the States. We were supposed to tell each other the truth. That's what it's supposed to be. But we can lie to other countries, right, and tell them that we're all 10 feet tall and we have this and we have that, when we probably didn't. But that happened, and when you start thinking about that, you start thinking about how Adam Schiff, probably the biggest liar was ever elected, but these guys just lie over and over and over again, and you call them out and then they'll lie some more. It's crazy how politics work. But because President Trump really is not a politician, although he's learned more and more about politics and how it works and the ins and outs, he probably knows more now than he ever did before, and because he knows both sides, he knows how it's supposed to work, how the government, how everything's supposed to work for the people, right? For the people, because he believes in us and we believe in him. So let's see how Donald Trump does. See if we can end this government shutdown. We'll see if these hostages come back to Israel, and I mean, Hamas has got to understand they got to get out of town. They're giving them they're opening a back door for them to get the hell out. This is an opportunity for them to get out. Go back to Ireland, wherever you came from, but leave Israel alone and let them have, their own country. And, they coexist with Palestinians right now in the West Bank. When Palestine, or the Palestinians, I should say, never really had a country of their own. They're a people, of course. They're a Palestinian people, but the majority of them live in Jordan. This is what I understand. I could be wrong, but anyhow, this is Coffee Break with Jimmy. Think about that. Think about how long the Democrat Party has been in charge, and think about how many years we've pretty much been in the hole because of them. And now that Donald Trump's there, he's turning things around. Open your eyes. Think about it. And follow his lead. Charlie Kirk did. He did a great job. This is Coffee Break with Jimmy. Please subscribe. Hit the like button. Share. And hit the notification bell so you can see me next time I'm on. Thank you very much.